In this video, I'm going to cover prompt engineering so that you can actually write up good prompts that generate output that you want in the context of, cold outreach or messaging, right? How can you write a prompt that results in the AI to generate good openers, good messaging, good vocabulary, sentences, and all these good stuff for our outreach efforts, right? So we don't want to waste our time. Well, first of all, I'd like to share with you that we've been in this business for quite some time in terms of generating, personalized lines using AI and using these prompts. So we know how this goes. We know how to generate these lines really well. But what is the trick behind it? Well, it's called prompt engineering, as I mentioned. What exactly is prompt engineering? It's basically you have a prompt and you're engineering it, right? So when you dissect that, what it means is you're looking at a prompt, how you first of all structure it, how you write it, then the context of it, and how you're placing it to the AI so that it can dissect your prompt and actually generate an output you want or give you the results you're looking for. So what is good prompt engineering in regards to copywriting or generating good messaging? Well, with the fundamentals of prompt engineering, you have to follow the fundamentals, then we can go into further details specifically for copywriting, right? So fundamentally, when we look at the structure of prompt engineering, the best prompts usually tend to have this structure. First of all, you want to give it a role. You want to give the AI a role. So you're an expert copywriter, right? Or you're an expert outreach specialist, or you're an expert cold calling script writer. Something like that. You want to give it a role so it knows what it actually specializes in and puts its mind in that headspace when generating the results or generating the output. Next, you want to give it some context as to where it is in your process. So you're an expert copywriter specializing in corporate learning and development industry. This is giving it the niche. So specifically in this context. Now, what's the next step? You want to, and let me add it here, you want to give it the task, right? So you want to give it the task. Oh my God, yeah. So you want to give it the task. So your task is to generate a short conversational email opener, right? Now, when you're talking to AI, what is short? Short is subjective. That doesn't make sense. Of course, we know short could be, 1 word, could be 5 words, could be 10 words, but what exactly are you looking for? So when you can be as detailed as possible. So here we say 20 words or less, giving it some sort of like measurement or metric to follow in terms of measuring, right? Now, we give it the tools it has access to using, okay, then you could say plus tools, right? So what does it have access to? What can it use to generate the messaging that you're giving it specifically other than its own resources? So I'm saying focus using the detailed data provided, and obviously we're going to go into the data below and the output and all of that good stuff. But first of all, you want to say we're going to give you some detailed data, right, that you're going to use to generate these messages. And then this goes further into the task, you could say. Now we gave it the general outlook of what, I don't know what happened there. I gave it the general outlook of what it's doing, right, or what it's going to do. But now we need to go into more detail. So you want to write the full objective A to Z, right? What are we actually doing here? Yeah, okay, we're writing an opener, but how is the opener going to be written? What do you want specifically? Because remember, it's like you hire someone, you got to give them an SOP. You got to give them a standard operating procedure. And the AI is no different, right? It's not going to know exactly what you want from the air. So give it an SOP. Capture attention. So this is what I'm looking for. I want attention, and encourage the prospect to keep reading by crafting an opener that feels genuine and respectful, right? That's what we're looking for, right? No excessive compliments or dramatics, because that seems a bit dodgy when it comes to openers. Now here we're going to more copywriting stuff, but in general, in your expertise, write what you want in your messaging. Then we say tone. Prioritize a natural human-like tone that flows easily in conversation. So now we're talking about more specifics into the output, how we want it to come out. Ensuring the opener is highly relevant by drawing directly from the information provided, including any data on the prospect's industry challenges, professional goals, and all these things. And we get into the data that's actually provided. So what is the data provided? You have a whole DOAS on the full prospect and all online activity. DOS kind of like, it's kind of like doxing someone, you want to say, but I feel like that's a bit excessive. But it's just getting the whole information about someone, right? It's like a whole profile on the person and their company and everything. So, and all online activity in terms of their posts and the recent online activity, like it says. Information on the narrative, so information on relevance, how to approach the lead, what are the best angles. So this information is all provided, right? That's what we're giving. So we're giving a breakdown of what information is provided. So it knows what's being given, and then we're going to direct it on how to use it, which is basically the objective, right? So use this information for this. So realistically, you can kind of swap them around in terms of order and whatnot, but in general, it's just important to have the information there. Nice. Now, what are the essential things, the non-negotiables that we want in the opener? First things first, it has to tie to a key pain point. That's what it has to talk about. Sure, we said it has to be respectful and relevant and whatever, but relevant in what way, right? So we say it has to be a key pain point, right? And then it has to be related to learning and development, which is the niche. We're not going to just talk about a key pain point that they have in their life, right? If they posted about, a sad, tragic incident, we don't want to start talking about that. No, that's not relevant to what we're talking about. So we make sure it's relevant. So in L&D. And then select either a statement that resonates with the prospect based on the data provided, or a poke the bear question, right? And if you don't know what poke the bear is, I did make a video, but it's basically just a question that sparks that engages the prospect. It's like, what the hell, right? It agitates the prospect, right? So you're poking the bear. So that's summary. But if you don't know what poke the bear is, you can watch the other video I made. So I'm giving it two options on how to provide the output. Then, for good measures, based on back data from all these, previous openers, what we found best were, okay, I don't know why I just exposed my whole living situation, but in the grand scheme of things, we're gonna go back to this. Yeah. So, based on what performed well last time or previously, you give it some examples or samples of your output, right? So, sample structure, statements. I'm gonna make this a bit here. Yeah. So, sample structure, statements. So these are examples of statements, and then we have poke the bear, right? So these are examples of poke the bear, and you just give it some examples to work off with to know what you're actually looking for. To replicate these same results or types of results. Now, it could get a bit creative and whatnot, but usually with clay.com, I showed you how you guys can, refine it so that it sticks more to what you're looking for. But with that being said, we're going to go now and see the actual steps of prompt engineering. I found this, lovely image online, which basically covers the whole process, right? So we look at prompt engineering. We know how to write the prompt, what features or aspects we need to include. And we're going to go over it quickly because I feel like sometimes I'm a bit messy. But you need to write the role, and then the context it lies in the process or in your company, then the task, then what tools it has access to. Then you go on to write in more depth. Basically, the objective is that task, but why are we doing the task, right? So you give it the objective and some details about that. Then some more information on the tools. So you can write tools here. I can make this bold. Some more information on the tools, then essential components for what you're looking for. All right, so it's kind of like notes, you could say, or you can just say essential components, right? And then samples or examples, and then that gives it some context as to what you're looking for in terms of actual output. And then you provided the data below. You give it the data it needs, and it will go off that, right? So and it'll use that data. Nice. Now let's look at the prompt engineering. You're not going to master prompt engineering from the first go. You're not going to get it right from the first time. Your prompt is going to be not good, right? It's not going to be good. So, how can we improve it? First, define your objective, draft the prompt, right? Then test and iterate. So, use the prompt, and you'll see in the Clay video I did this, where you use the prompt for the first 10 rows, or use the prompt for some outputs, see what's wrong with the prompt, or see what's wrong with the output. Then go ahead and refine the prompt again. Say, okay, if it's for example outputting with the name of the prospect, and you don't want to mention the name of the prospect, be like, you come here, you say in the essential components, and make sure not to mention the name of the prospect. Boom, we added one more essential. Then you run it again. It doesn't use the name of the prospect, but then it may have another error. Then you go ahead, you add to the prompt. Nice. So we test and iterate. Then assess results and refine, which is basically what we said. And then you can automate and scale. Now, what we say by automate and scale is now you have an example of a prompt you want. And I'm going to go over what that means. You have an example of a prompt you want, right? Now, I have this, on GPT, for example, a kind of thing to optimize my prompt. So I say, here is a prompt from an AI strictly to follow and provide the needed output. Based on prompt engineering foundations and prompt structures, optimize this prompt so that it instructs this AI in the most effective way to get the desired output. And then I give it the prompt. And because it already knows what a good prompt is for me, what works in the past for me, it can go ahead and optimize this prompt, and it gives me here, and then I refine this based on what I like, what I don't like, and then I can just I tell it to optimize another prompt, right? So here's another prompt, and then that's basically optimizing and refining, and then surely with time, your prompt will be as good as good is, I guess. So with that being said, you can then go ahead, use these prompts to write messages. So for example, yeah, actually I don't have an example, but you could just say like, okay, you copy paste this prompt, you give it some information, right, and then boom, you have actually I can use an example. I will use an example, right? Let's do this. You go here, copy paste, new chat. I'm gonna do this. Let's go here. Let's go find some random information. Oh, I don't have the information. I don't have the information. Do I? I do not have the information. Let's say, okay, give me Apple. Apple. I'm just gonna write Apple. Wikipedia. Right. And we're gonna. Okay, let's chill out. Let's take some information here. History. All these things. That should be sufficient. Give it the data. And then it gives you a result, right? Now, you have to take into mind the data I just provided isn't really coherent with the data I told it it's gonna get. So I wouldn't say this is the best output, but nonetheless, this is not a bad output at all. Imagine Apple gets this email. They're gonna be like, yo, this is a good email. I'm gonna read it, and then they might respond. But that's basically it, right? So you can go ahead, write up prompts for your companies, for your outreach, your lead generation. So you could be like, instead of L&D space, I don't know, aerospace engineering space, maybe something like that. If you want it to be, you know, if you want it to capture attention, it captures attention. If you want it to be humorous, you can make it humorous. Whatever it is, you add these aspects, you tailor it, you customize it as you wish. But these are the fundamentals of prompt engineering that you will use in order to create messaging. And then you'll use tools like clay.com to really run these prompts for many rows for your leads, and automate the process, you could say, something like that, right? But that's it for this video, and yeah.